The ABB FIA Formula E World Championship moves away from Europe and over to Japan. Welcome to Tokyo and the Excel Centre for a doubleheader of rounds 8 and 9 of the 2025 World Championship. Let's cross over to the World Feed then, as the first session is about to begin. Let's join Nikki Shields, who's in the pit lane with James Rossiter, alongside Katie Munnings.
Cannot wait for lights to go out. That's all of them barreling down to that first corner. It's going to be epic. Let's remind ourselves of what happened last time out in Monaco, because there is one driver we were talking about non-stop, and it is this man, Oliver Rowland for Nissan, who are the home heroes this weekend. The utter dominance we have seen from him. He took the first win in Monaco. He's been on the podium first 5 out of 7 races so far this season. James, it was a great moment for him.
Well, it's such a rich vein of form, and one that we've rarely seen in Formula E, where you're just able to string the entire weekend together time and time again. It's amazing what he's doing, and this is a beautiful moment of the season for Oliver and for the Nissan team. Yeah,
absolutely. And then, of course, Sunday's race, we had a rather unexpected race win, a brilliant moment for Sebastian Buemi. He took his career 14th finish, which is just incredible, his win. And then, I mean, for the team, Envision Racing, who have not been at the top on the top step for quite some time.
Yeah, it meant so much to the team. I think you could see that at the podium. They were all so happy to be there. They managed the race really well. It was really difficult conditions, obviously, with the rain, and then it was drying a lot through the race. And actually, to be fair, Jaguar as well, the powertrain was working really well, the setup that they had there. I think they said after the race it really benefited the drying conditions. So, yeah, they played the game really well. Obviously, he's got so much experience as well in Formula E. He knows what to do when the conditions kick up a fuss. So, yeah, it was an amazing job by them.
Yeah, his 14th career win. Wow, what a special moment for him and the team. Now, we are at the midpoint of the season. Let's remind ourselves of how those driver and team standings look. So, as we mentioned, Oliver Rowland, 48 points ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa there. Pure dominance so far, just 1 point in it between the Tag Heuer Porsche drivers. Taylor Barner dropping down to 4th, having not had any points in Monaco. And Nick de Vries jumps from 11th into 5th. If we look at the second page here, check out Nick Cassidy there after a podium finish. He's moved himself up into P13. And then we look at the team standings. Again, we can see the dominance from a couple of teams. It's Tag Heuer Porsche on 133 points and Nissan 7 points behind. But Mahindra Racing are very much coming for them. Well, the cars are about to head out on track, so let's go to our commentary team of Tom Brooks and Andre Lotterer.
Thank you very much indeed, Nikki. Green light is on at the end of pit lane then. We are go in Tokyo for free practice 1 as the vehicles head out onto the circuits for the first time in anger here this weekend. And what a place it is for a race. We loved coming here 12 months ago in Tokyo, and we're back again here once again at the Tokyo Big Sight Exhibition Centre. Now, this circuit, 2.5 kilometres long. It's got a variety of different corners, including some slow, some fast. And actually, the circuit has been a bit reprofiled this year, including in the first sector, where it's been widened quite exponentially to allow closer side-by-side racing. And also, out of turn 2 and into turn 3, it's been resurfaced completely into there, almost removing one of the bumps that we saw from last year. Last year, we saw cars getting completely airborne. We've seen the chicane has also been removed, Andre, in the final sector of the lap, so we're in for a bit of a treat this weekend, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool to see the cars get some air, but I think it was a bit hard on the cars, so it's good to see that they shaved it off. And I think they learned from last year, making the track a bit wider to improve the racing and the overtaking. And yeah, a bit faster in turn 16, so that is a very, very exciting corner. I think will be very challenging for the drivers as well, because you arrive high speed, bumpy, and then you get down into this ramp. So it's quite unusual to see such a elevation change at such high speed.
We go full course yellow. 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. Full course yellow.
So Marek Aniszewski there, race director for the FIA, just doing a full course yellow track test. This essentially is a systems check for all the teams and the drivers to make sure that the team radio can be heard at all the different points over the course of the circuit. Standard procedure that we have in Formula E, just to make sure that all the systems are working at this early stage of the weekend.
Yeah, it is a test, but you're not
Full
supposed to
course yellow ending in
over-speed
5,
because you get
4,
a
3,
reprimand,
2,
even though there's no
1.
action.
Green flag, please.
Yeah, so that full course yellow test comes to an end, and then we get the green flag to fly, and our drivers can continue on their way. So this race, 12 months ago, was won by Maximilian Günther in emphatic circumstances. There was a great battle to the checkered flag, which ultimately saw Günther taking the win from Oliver Rowland, Jake Dennis, and then Antonio Felix da Costa. James, it was a cracking race here. What are we expecting in 2025?
More of the same. I think we're going to see even more excitement with the addition to the Gen 3 Evo with the four-wheel drive systems on this tight and twisty track. The acceleration of having four-wheel drive is going to make quite a big difference out of these tight and twisty corners.
It's also a double header this weekend for the first time here as well. So we've got the return of Pit Boost on Saturday, and then of course a more traditional non-Pit Boost race on the Sunday. We saw a variety of different strategies and results in Monaco. Are you expecting the same here this weekend as well?
I'm actually expecting more excitement around the Pit Boost window. I think that in Monaco we saw a bit of innovation from some of the teams, some actually trying to over-consume energy in the first part of the race to get to the Pit Boost window sooner. So you can only pit when you've got 60% of state of charge remaining. And we saw a couple of people trying to consume more energy to arrive at that point, and that changed the whole dynamic of the race. So having had a couple of teams work on that, and it worked very successfully, I do think that we're going to see some innovative strategies coming into the forefront of the race tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it is going to work out in terms of the races. In terms of the durations, we've got a 35-lapper on Saturday here in Tokyo, and then 32 laps, so 3 laps fewer on the Sunday. And one of the big talking points of this weekend is weather. Last year here we had one wet session, that was free practice 2 on the Saturday morning. This year we're expecting weather to be a big feature, especially tomorrow, Andre.
Yes, and in Japan when it rains, it does rain a lot. So it's not that those percentage numbers are maybe optimistic, they're really accurate, and it's a country where it rains. So not ideal for the drivers, very low grip with those tires in the wet, so they will need to get up to speed and get confident with it. They had a bit of a taste in Monaco, and I'm afraid that's going to be the case here as well. But let's see who learned the lessons best to optimize the systems of the cars and you know, the anti-locking system to try to catch a bit more grip, the tire pressures. I think everyone learned a bit, and we'll see how that goes tomorrow. And now it's valuable track time in the dry in case Sunday might be drier, so and you don't get a taste of it tomorrow.
We saw drivers struggling a lot with grip in the wet in Monaco, James. They were like watching a granny on ice skates at certain points over the course of that lap, wasn't it? Are you expecting to see much the same here? Because there's a lot of different surfaces at this track.
It was definitely exciting in Monaco. We saw different teams also at the front as they had their strategies together. But more importantly, speaking to some of the drivers afterwards, it was very tyre pressure related. If you had the tyres in the right window, you could capture the grip and then you could really excel. And we saw Sebastian Buemi delivering an absolute masterpiece, where from the first drop of rain that arrived there on the Sunday in Monaco, Seb was at the front of the times. And it was very impressive to see that knowledge really come to the front. So, yeah, we could see some excitement this weekend in the rain. Hopefully no granny's ice skating, though, Tom.
The bit of luck, we'll try and avoid that one, shall we? One team that really shone last weekend in Monte Carlo was Mahindra, including Nick de Vries especially, who got his first podium since London 2022, the team's first podium since Mexico 2023. They've been on great form. They were brilliant here last year as well with a front row start for Edo Mortara. Let's head down to pit lane, catch up with Saunders, who's with Mahindra team principal Frederick Bertrand.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I mean, Tom said it up perfectly there, just talking about the amazing trajectory that the team's been on, the performances that have just been getting better and better. You must be delighted with how things are going.
Well, amazing, I'm not sure yet, but no, we are happy because that was the plan. We have a new car, learn quick about that car and make sure that we can get closer to podiums. So we even get on a podium already once. Definitely happy, but not satisfied yet. We still have a bit of work to do.
There's no question about it that everything's going in the right direction, though. What do you think's made the difference, especially in the Gen 3 Evo era?
We had a lot of things to adjust, and we probably managed to adjust most of them. The team is solid now. It has been built the last 2 years. We have strong drivers. We needed a stronger car, and the car which we have developed probably tackled a few areas where we were weak, and that addition to the package we had before definitely makes us a much stronger contender and gives confidence to the drivers. And when you get confident drivers, you do a lot of the job.
You're just quickly looking ahead to this weekend. What are your expectations? Is this a circuit that you think can suit the car and the setup well?
We were not that bad last year already. If you remember, we were quite good in quali P4, and then we did a good race, even Edo finishing P6. Small issue at the end where we lost the position. So we come with a good understanding of how it was. Few changes, so we don't know exactly how it will be, but definitely confident that we can keep the same level of performance and hopefully better.
Thanks, Fred. Back to you, Tom.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed to Fred. Thanks to Saunders in pit lane there as well. Confident drivers are happy drivers, and both Mahindra drivers looking confident going into this weekend. Here is Maximilian Günther, the man who won this race 12 months ago, just going through the left-hander of turn 15, making his way down to the newly reprofiled final sector, which has removed the chicane. So coming into this last year, there was a chicane, but now it's just a fast left-hander before you head onto the anchors into the final last couple of corners to complete the lap, and that's where Günther will be lining up to set a push time. Out of pit lane then, and onto the circuit, as Günther now on his first push lap of the session.
Keep pushing.
Well, race engineer saying what you would expect to see, just to keep pushing on, going through this first sector. As we said, James, they've really opened this up a little bit just to try and give drivers a bit more breathing room, really, especially in the first car. There was a proper concertina effect going through there.
It was side by side for that first lap of the race, and I expect to see the same again. The thing is, you're going to be arriving at turn 1 faster this year because you've got the launch in four-wheel drive, so it's going to be very, very challenging. But they have. So it's going to be very, very challenging, but they have widened the circuit a little bit. It seems like they've widened it on the exits of the corners to allow a bit more room. Now, the big question is, will that promote some dive bombing down the inside on the entry of the corner with the view of them having a metre or two extra on the exit?
Yeah, that's it. Let's have a look at Günther as we flick through the onboard cameras, through that fast left-hander now of turn 16, just getting caught behind a bit of traffic here.
It's really exciting going into there. You can see that everyone's building up to it slowly. This turn 16 is at the end of the longest straight, and it's a really fast left-hander, and then suddenly it drops downhill. And I think everyone's going to have to take their time to build up to that. And later in the session, when they go to the attack mode, you're going to see a lot of excitement and probably some out-of-shape cars going into there.
Well, we saw, I can't remember who it was now, forgive me, but it was in qualifying. Somebody actually ended up hitting the wall going through that final chicane in qualifying last year.
That's what happens formally when you push the limits. There's not much runoff area, and but on a day like today, it's not too bad. You can push the limits a little bit. If you hit the wall or if you damage the car, of course it's not ideal, but the team still has time to repair it, which on a one-day race format is not the case, or in FP2 we can't do that.
Just to give you an idea of how much faster we are already, we're only 10 minutes into FP1. Compared to last year, the quickest time was a 1:20.8. We're already at 1:15. I know the circuit's a bit faster because we've removed the chicane and widened it, but that's a massive leap in time.
That makes the lap time quite a bit less, and that's going to make some people a bit nervous for the pit boost to not have any mistakes on their in laps and their out laps when we get into the race on Saturday. Sorry,
just saw De Costa there getting balked by one of the Cooper Kiros that was going a little bit slow through the first sector. I wonder whether the stewards might be having a little look at that.
It was Antonio who we bumped into earlier on today, who mentioned that this turn 16 could also be a bit dangerous for people waiting to launch their lap. So you're going to arrive there on a push lap incredibly fast, blind corner, going downhill, and if someone's dawdling around trying to give themselves a bit of space, it could be quite complicated. So let's hope that all the drivers have spoken to each other. I think Antonio was going to try and mention it to them to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, this is just coming through into turn 16. This fast left-hand, a big snap of oversteer there for De Costa as he gets it nice and sideways into the final chicane.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about, how difficult that corner will be for the drivers, because you're loaded perfectly on the outside tires and then suddenly the track drops down and you lose all that grip. So I think everyone will have to go through a bit of drifting there to optimize the lap time, because you go from one grip situation to the other, and yeah, but that's really the cool thing about racing Formula E. In these difficult situations, tracks that are bumpy or going up and down and between the walls, like it's extremely challenging for the drivers and rewarding when you get it well.
Race engineers are going to need to have their eyes on stalks going into this weekend, and as a result of the traffic management, I think, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. And yeah, as Andre said, with Antonio's Tokyo drift here, it's quite impressive.
I wondered how long it would be before we got that reference in. as it turns out, 12 minutes into FP1. Nicely done. Looking at Edo Mortara, he started on the second row of the grid here last year for Mahindra. Went for the lead down into the first corner, didn't quite pay off for him, and unfortunately for him, he actually ended up picking up a penalty post-race as well. He finished inside the top 10, but eventually was classified at the end of the race. He was disqualified, as a matter of fact, wasn't he, for a technical infringement? I think it was overpowering, if memory serves me correctly. So he'll be hoping to try and turn around those fortunes. And, I mean, given the fact that we saw Nick de Vries on the podium last time and Mortara having, let's say, a tougher weekend is a kind of way of putting it, he'll be hoping for stronger results at the track he's performed at in the past.
He was super fast here last year. No reason why that won't continue into this year. And as you said, they've made a huge step forwards as a team, not just on their powertrain, where they've helped this regulation issue, let's say, that got them caught out a couple of times last year, but also on their software. They've made a massive step forwards, and you can see it. The car looks complacent. It looks like it responds well to what the drivers want from it. And as Fred Bertrand said in his interview to Saunders, having confident drivers really does pay dividends in this championship.
And Andre, if we look at Mahindra back in season 9, the start of Gen 3, but for the podium that de Grassi had, it was a dire season. They were all at sea. They've made massive restructuring behind the scenes and so on, and it really seems to be paying dividends for them now.
Yeah, definitely. It's really good to see that, and to bank on consistency and to give trust to your drivers. It's not a team that feels like, okay, as soon as your driver has a bad weekend, you might be on the eject seat. So it's really important to build confidence and consistency there, and I think it's paying off because it gives you a good work environment, and you know, they had to recover, so you have to give everyone a bit of time to earn the fruits of the work they did, and that seems to pay off.
De Vries having a big moment going through the fast right-hander. That's the quickest corner of the track through turn 9.
I'll tell you what, that's quite exciting going through there, but when they take attack mode and they have the full 350 kilowatts of four-wheel drive, that corner is going to be so difficult.
Yeah, close your eyes and hope for the best, I think, because this is De Vries. You can see the car moving around. He's in two-wheel drive. He's not in a full attack mode lap at the moment, but negotiating his way through the final chicane. He's certainly trying to maximise the potential of that car as it comes to the timing line. Takes second place then, just in front of Jake Dennis. As we look inside the Mahindra garage at the moment. So Oliver Rowland is championship leader that is in front at this stage of the session. He's got a 48-point advantage over Pascal Wehrlein in the championship.
Time loss, sector 1, 7/10 to Pascal. Sector 2, 3/10. Sector 3 is 2/10 for him.
It's not the news you want to hear.
Well, it sounds like if he puts a lap together, he's going to be P1.
Yeah, when you get this message, it's more good if you hear like, okay, one sector you are
red
off,
flags
and then,
out, red
the
flag.
other two are fine, or vice versa. But if you're like that much of all sectors is
oh, hang on a minute.
That's turn 16.
Yeah, and that's Barnard.
He's hit the wall.
To the wall.
He's hit the wall quite far back. You see he's dragged down the wall from sort of the exit of there. So, yeah.
Guess he found the limit.
Maybe a little bit over it, Andre.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame for Taylor Barnard. We've been singing his praises all season, and the rookie finally does make a mistake in FP1, brings out the red flag.
The tough thing for Taylor now is going to be, you're going to miss 25 minutes this session. We know that the weather is going to be a bit iffy tomorrow, and it might mean that he has 25 minutes less of practice in the dry going into Sunday, which could be a dry race, and that's really going to put him and the team on the back foot.
Attention everyone, please pick up the speed. You can exceed 50 kilometers per hour. Just be aware you have an incident on the driver right-hand side at turn 17. Pick up the speed. Thank you very much.
Marek Aniszewski, their race director, just communicating to all the drivers to pick up the speed, get them back into pit lane so they can get that car safely recovered, because the clock still continues counting down even though we've got this red flag.
Yeah, it's good to see a race director aware of that and reacting immediately and trying to optimize everything. And you know, they're all pros out there, so you can trust them to pick up the speed and just watch out for the last corner.
Let's have a look at what happened then to Barnard. How did it go wrong for him? That's a big shunt into the wall there, so big snap of oversteer through 16.
That's a big impact.
Damage do you expect?
The whole right side, high rear right first. The rear right is broken, quite bad.
So the problem there is that he's done rear right and he's done the front as well. So that could be drive shafts, it could be powertrains, it could be gearbox, it could be...
That could be the whole... Let's have a look on board. I think he's going to lose this quite early.
He's wide, isn't he?
Well, very late apex, so I think, yeah, the track is probably not ideal there, maybe a bit in the dust, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. The car is not.
Okay, copy. What is the damage do you expect?
The whole right side, high rear right first. The rear right is broken, quite bad.
You can feel in his breath, and he's a bit under shock. Like, I think the impact was bigger than he expected, and it does feel weird sometimes.
Yeah, the walls bite hard in Formula E, that's for sure.
And they don't move, so it's like, yeah, it's yeah, not good to see, but that's exactly what Formula E is about. If you push that limit a tiny bit more, there's no runoff, and it makes the sport beautiful, because you know on these other racetracks out, there's way too much runoff, and it takes away a bit the art of being precise.
It shows the line that these drivers are dancing on all the time. And you could see there, as you mentioned earlier, Andre, when you came over the crest there, Taylor he was braking as he came over the crest. Obviously, with the change of angle there, he lost the rear first. That just sent him straight into the wall. And super challenging to get all the systems right. And I think some of the other guys in the grid are going to be quite conscious that someone's now hit that wall. And it'd be interesting to see how they approach that corner for the rest of the session.
Yeah, we were talking about that corner a lot, and it didn't take long, huh, did it?
No.
No, well, that is a shame for Barnard. It is a shame for Neon McLaren. Let's have another look at what happened then for Barnard. So he's coming through turn 16, enter stage left, into the wall, rear right hits it first, the front then soon follows. Big impact into the barrier for the rookie. Thankfully, he said he's okay on team radio. The car, that's another matter. And he's lost 25 minutes of running in FP1.
It's probably a 20G hit.
Right, let's see. So here we are coming out of turn 15. We've got this long straight. You can see how much he's able to accelerate coming down here. He brakes now, turns in. Just as the crest comes, he loses the rear. And he tries to correct it, but he just slams into the wall. I mean, there's nothing really you can do there, because you can't go back in time and brake earlier. That would have been the only solution for that problem. So, yeah, tricky one there for Taylor.
Yeah, the marshals out there with what looked like Harry Potter's Quidditch sticks to try and clear up the debris on the circuit.
I think I'm okay to jump out now.
You can hear the disappointment in his voice there, can't you, audibly, for Taylor Barnard.
Well, he won't be driving that Neon McLaren back, so bet he jumps out in.
Yeah, good shout. Let's go down to pit lane, catch up with Saunders. He's got Neon McLaren team principal Ian James. Let's find out what he makes of the incident.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, never nice to see that so early in a race weekend. What can you tell us about what happened with Taylor?
No, listen, it's just he's clearly lost it, I think, coming into turn 17, if I remember correctly. You see a lot of the cars sort of going sideways there and just overcooked it a little bit. So a hard hit. The important thing is he was on the radio straight away to say he's okay, but looks like we've sustained some quite significant damage on the car, so we need to try and get it back as quickly as possible.
You're not going to like hearing this, but I had a conversation with Taylor on the track walk earlier, and he was telling me about how important it was for him to get as much time on track as possible. And unfortunately, the opposite is a reality. What does that mean now with a circuit like this, with Taylor, who's never driven here before? What sort of wider impact does a collision like that take?
Listen, it's never ideal, but at the same time, you know, we've seen Taylor exactly what he's capable of in the previous races. So I think we just need to make sure that he gets his head back in the game. The team here will do their utmost to make sure we can get the car turned around as quickly as possible, and then we'll get his focus back on the weekend. And it's a double header, so there's lots more track time to come.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed we can see Taylor back on track, showing us what he does best.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks to Ian James there, thanks to Saunders. Disappointment for Neon McLaren then, and obviously a loss of time on track for the rookie Taylor Barnard, as well as the 20-year-old makes his way back to pit lane. Thankfully, he's okay, which is the main thing. His car, on the other hand, will, I'm sure, require some extensive repairs ahead of free practice 2 tomorrow. And there is a very good probability that this will be the only dry session that we have, possibly until Sunday here, James, as well. So, yeah, a dry track time in particular would have been very beneficial for him.
Yeah, it's going to be hugely frustrating for both Taylor and the Neon McLaren team there. because, yeah, as you said, dry running is priceless. Obviously, that corner is a huge challenge. It's the one that's been reprofiled, and it's clearly claimed its first victim, and I'm sure it won't be the last incident we see going through that fast turn 16.
No, certainly not. You can see some super slow-mos of the drivers coming out onto the track. New livery for Nissan here this weekend, special livery for them, because of course it's a home race for that team. You can see the Sakura that they've got on the cars. It's like an 8 or 16-bit video game style thing. They've actually got a video game that's been released in conjunction with this weekend for that team. It's brilliant, actually. It's like playing an old arcade game on a Nintendo.
Yeah, it's written insert coin as well on the car, so that's a pretty cool feature.
And if you don't, speed up enough, Tommaso Volpe will shout at you, which is something that no driver ever wants to have to deal with. So, anyway, we'll see how Nissan get on this weekend as we look at some super slow-mos here of Nick de Vries just making his way through. There is that special livery on the Nissan this weekend.
It does look good, doesn't it?
I think it's fantastic. So confirmation that the session will restart at 24 minutes past the hour, so that's just under a minute's time, and then we'll get the session good to go again.
Yeah, the other thing is this has also compromised everyone's running, because we've obviously only got 16 minutes left now of the session. Everyone's lost 10 minutes. It's a large percentage of the session.
It is. I wonder whether they might add some minutes on at the end of the session. They do have the power to do that in Formula E.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope that they do, just for the fact that, the weather could compromise dry running tomorrow. But it's great to see Taylor here walking back uninjured. I'm sure he got a little bit winded and probably a little bit in shock, as Andre mentioned, just from that heavy impact. But it's great to see him looking okay, and hopefully no lasting injuries, maybe just a bit of a bruised ego.
So green light is about to come on then as we get this session back underway. Let's have a listen in here. So he's saying he doesn't think he had a puncture there.
That's to make sure that the team don't have to use a spare tyre going to the weekend, because you're limited on the number of tyres you get in your allocation for the whole weekend. And if you damage a tyre, then you have to take the spare, and then that can compromise the whole weekend. So he's going to be hoping that he hasn't damaged one of those tyres.
So after a 10-minute or so delay, free practice 1 resumes then with just under 16 minutes left of the session, as we look at the fans here in Tokyo watching on as the cars come back on to the circuit. So from a driver's perspective and a team's perspective now, Andre, how does this change the dynamic of the session? If they don't add minutes on at the end of it, we've now got less running for the teams, less running for the drivers, and now we have confirmation that the session will be extended by 8 minutes.
Well, normally there's a very precise run plan, and here a bit more the impact again. You see how unforgiving this track is, and the wall doesn't move by a millimeter, so all the impact goes into the car, damaging the tire, the rims, the suspension, and yeah, as you said, James is ego as well, so not ideal for confidence. But tomorrow will rain, so it'll be another day for him, but as we said, maybe missing a bit of dry track time for him on Sunday. But yeah, back to the run plan, everything is minute by minute, and you have a plan, you go out, push, cool, push, then come in, you have a setup item, and that with the red flag is all a bit modified. But as soon as you put the time in, all the run plan adapts to the new schedule.
You need to trust more the car, stop modulating, brake pressure.
Yes. Driver coaching. Don't know how to take that, it's like, okay, you're teaching me how to drive now. But this is off the stop, and they probably compared the data to Jake, and see that Jake probably braked harder a bit later with less modulation, a bit more confidence. Modulating means that the driver is hesitating, is putting pressure on and off and on because he's searching for the grip. But that is not an efficient braking phase, and as we see, Jake is in 3rd position now, and is a good reference.
Yeah, in terms of Nico Müller, he is 8th fastest in the session at the moment. Just talking about the different surfaces in a moment.
Brake system error 559 is cleared, but the brake pedal has got big pulsing and vibration now. It's not working, the brake pedal.
It's not working, the brake pedal. Not exactly a confidence-inspiring message to relay to your engineer.
No, not ideal. This is because the brakes are operating on a brake-by-wire system, meaning that you put pressure onto not an hydraulic system, but an electronic system, which takes your pressure demand and then redistribute the brake pressure on the front and the rear. And if that system is not working correctly, you have a problem. So let's see how they fix it.
how much more grip Evans has got now. He's in a full attack mode lap. You can see that with the magenta lights on all of the car now. New for this weekend. Previously, it was just on the rear wing. Now, for this weekend, it's all of the lights, including the one on the halo and on the roll hoop there as well. Evans goes up to second quickest, just under a tenth of a second away from the fastest time set by Oliver Rowland, but visibly the car moving around a little bit less there over the course of that lap.
I don't think Oliver Rowland's done a lap yet in attack mode power. I know that he had practiced it, but seeing Mitch Evans jump to second, but Oliver Rowland, I think, is only in the two-wheel drive mode, which shows how fast he is at this stage of the weekend.
Yeah, very impressive from Oliver Rowland. No, not a surprise at all, really, let's be honest, given how quick he's been over the course of this season. It's his consistency that's got him to where he is. In terms of the difficulties that he's only really had Sao Paulo back in December as a blot on his copybook. Miami, you could argue as well, but that was due to a penalty.
And Sao Paulo was a team issue, not an Oliver Rowland issue. So it was a penalty that was for a team issue. So yeah, Oliver Rowland's been in top form. It's been very impressive to watch so far this season, and very much looking forward to seeing how the rest of his weekend unfolds.
In terms of surfaces, I was mentioning this earlier on before we got that team radio, James. As I said, there's a variety of different ones. That red tarmac that we just saw at the top of the shot there, is that a lot more grippy compared to what you've got into the braking zone into the chicane of turns 10 and 11?
So that's turn 9. Let's hear from Oliver Rowland.
I'm trying to calculate in case you can charge after the boost.
Yep, I am. I'll let you know. So next lap, scenario 8, single push.
So just talking about the run plan there for Oliver Rowland. Back to the surface, Paul.
So yeah, back to the surface change. Turn 9, that really fast right-hander. You can see the car driving over this red tarmac. Now this is quite high grip. In the wet, I'm not sure yet how it's going to be, but it's higher grip than some of the other corners. And it gives the drivers confidence to really throw the car in. And you can see the car moving around a lot through that high-speed turn 9.
You can see visibly how much arriving down into turn 1 as Nico Müller makes his way through this first sector, and just look at him harrying the car. Of course, the front powertrain now, he's in four-wheel drive and 350 kilowatts of power, going to be pulling him through the corners. You can hear the tyres chirping in pain there as he's on the limits of grip.
It's so cool to see the acceleration with the four-wheel drive. It's really visibly seeable that, you know, when they go from one corner to the other, the traction, the car is not oversteering anymore, and it would be really interesting to see how it feels and how much earlier you have to brake also, because you arrive much faster. You tend to probably overshoot the next corner.
James, you got to drive the car in Monaco a couple of weeks ago. What did you make of it? Did you get a chance to do any attack mode runs?
I did. I ran 4 laps in full attack mode in 350 kilowatts, four-wheel drive. Super exciting. And as Andre said, the acceleration when you come out of these slow-speed corners is amazing. The car just jumps out of the corner, and it's a big difference actually from the two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive. Really, really impressive from this Gen 3 Evo.
Absolutely. Müller goes to the top of the timesheets. First driver into the 1:13. That's, by the way, 7 seconds quicker than we were 12 months ago here in Tokyo.
If relaxing.
In terms of the rate of progression for Formula E, I know the track has been redesigned somewhat. Let's have a look at Müller's teammate Jake Dennis. This is coming out of turn 2 over what was a big jump, and you can see him getting right up and close to the wall as he gets a snap of oversteer.
Yeah, you don't need to be flirting with that wall at this stage of the weekend, I think.
Find a drink first. That's what you want to be doing. So out of turn 2 for Lucas de Grassi as he comes over it there, and you can see the car moving around underneath him. So
I'm not sure that's the fastest way through the corner. It did look very exciting.
Yeah, Lola Yamaha, home race for Yamaha, of course, the powertrain supplier for that team, new for 2025. Incidentally, they've got Johnny Herbert, who's Lola Yamaha ambassador here this weekend.
Yeah, great to see him in the paddock.
Yeah, lovely to see Johnny Herbert, of course, very experienced racing driver, former Grand Prix winner and Formula 1 reporter as well. And good to see him giving some home support as we look at Maloney having a bit of a snap of oversteer there through the chicane of turns 10 and 11.
Well, Zane's making me look rather silly as he set the purple first sector after I said that wasn't the fastest way around there. Maybe there's something he can teach me.
Just going through that fast left-hander of turn 16, and even though he's in four-wheel drive, that car's moving around a lot more than some others that we've seen in attack mode laps.
He's having to fight it a lot. And the thing is, he's done a great lap there to put himself less than a tenth off the top of the times in P2, but is it going to be repeatable? That's the thing in Formula E, you need to be able to repeat those laps, especially under high pressure, and if you're fighting your car that much, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, we have seen the Lowly Yamaha app looking a little bit, shall we say, on the limit, especially in Monaco. It was rear instability that the team seems to be struggling with, just putting the power down and the rear sliding all over the shop. Thankfully, looks like they've extracted a strong lap time out of it, but let's see whether that is a sustainable way of harrying this car around this circuit.
This looks very impressive. Here we are, the turn 16, fast corner, Jake Dennis. He's 4 tenths up on everybody at the moment, looking very calm and in control of his car.
Yeah, just making his way out of the final corner, blasts it to the timing line, and where is Dennis going to go? It's to the top of the class, a 1:13.245. So we're definitely going to get down into the 112s if we get a bit of dry running this weekend.
That's a big lap from Jake Dennis. He's 6.5 tenths faster than his teammate and a large chunk clear of everyone else. That's very, very impressive.
Let's have a look at Zay Maloney and his snap of oversteer through 16. Way.
He was very close to doing a repeat of Taylor Barnard there. You can see it just as he comes in, he turns in over this little crest, loses the rear, he just corrects the car enough. Taylor put more opposite lock into the car, which sort of walked him across the track and into the wall. And yeah, impressive from Zane, but risks that you don't need to be taking.
Yeah, when we did a track walk, we saw the first bit of the braking zone very bumpy, and that is the part that is upsetting the car. And you want to carry the speed because there's the other part of asphalt that is nice and smooth, and so you feel like if you're a bit too conservative, then when you arrive on the new asphalt bit that you're too slow, but the entry is the tricky part.
Might have just had his lap time compromised a bit there by the Lola for Da Costa as he comes through across the line into second position, just 600ths of a second away, so it didn't cost him too much time, indeed he was impeded. We look at Florian Modlinger, team principal for Tag Heuer Porsche in the pit box at the moment. Let's have a look at Da Costa then. So this is just coming through turn 16. The Lola's just in front at the moment, so this will meet Maloney, and he has another snap of oversteer through there. Does the Portuguese driver?
Not ideal, but it's okay. It's free practice, but yeah, it didn't hurt his last sector.
Let's look at Dan Ticktum as well. He was a standout performer last time out in Monaco, wasn't he, James? Really impressive performances he put in for Cooper Kiro. And we heard his frustration on the team radio in one of the qualifying sessions on Sunday when there was a mistake by the team. Essentially, he was supposed to be in 350 kilowatts in the duels, and he only ended up being in 300. And he felt it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that was one moment, but he was very impressive all weekend. He topped free practice 1, topped free practice 2, topped his group in qualifying. I mean, he and the team are starting to gel together with this new powertrain, with the Porsche powertrain. They're starting to find the potential of each other. Dan's starting to understand the systems. I still think there's a step to go from the team side. I think that Dan needs to really put in a large amount of effort now with the team to make sure that they can make the next steps over the rest of the season. And if he does that, hopefully we're going to see him fighting for podiums.
Well, just under 13 minutes left of FP1. Let's get down to Saunders, who's in pit lane, catching up with the team principal for Nissan, Tommaso Volpe.
Thanks, Tom. This is a big weekend for the team for a number of reasons, not just because it's, of course, a home race, but also because of your position in the championship. This is a big one.
Yeah, for sure it's a big one. We still miss the first position in the team championship, so we would like to do the Lamplain, as they say in France. But it's a big race for us. It's a double-header, so we have 2 chances to do well in front of our top management. So fingers crossed. Let's hope we have a good performance.
It was a pole position here last time, last season, and you narrowly missed out on that race win. What's going to make the difference this time around?
Well, last year we made a little mistake during the race. Otherwise, of course, we could have fought until the end for the win. It's like Formula E. Every race, you need to make sure that you put focus on every single detail. It's not one specific thing. You need to make sure that you are spot on everything, because competition is so tough and it's becoming tougher and tougher. So as long as you are not perfect everywhere, it's very difficult to be on the top.
Yeah, of course, that gap between second and 10th, all that pressure going upwards, a lot of drivers trying to knock you off that top spot. Right now in this session, we've seen your cameo in the Nissan game. What's your message? Are you angry, Tommaso, or happy, Tommaso?
I hope none of my comments in the game will come out during the weekend. It means that they are doing everything great.
Thank you, Tommaso.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Saunders. Thanks to Tommaso there as well. Just emphasising how important it is to make sure that every element of that team is functioning as well as they possibly can do. Porsche, meanwhile, have gone to the top of the pile with just over 10 minutes of the session remaining. Wehrlein leads Dennis, Da Costa and Muller, so 4 Porsche powertrains inside the top 4 positions here.
Yeah, very impressive from them. They've really got a good setup, and it seems to be working at the moment.
It's a good track for Porsche, actually. They both finished inside the top 5 here last year, Andre, the 2 Tag Heuer Porsches, and we saw Dennis on the podium in the Andretti Porsche as well. So it's a track that they've gone well at. So they'll be going into this with, I imagine, a lot more confidence compared to Monaco a fortnight ago.
Yeah, we know it's one of the best powertrains out there. It's not only the powertrain, it's also about getting the setup right. You know, sometimes you see the Porsche team doing really well and the Andretti team not so much, and vice versa. So it looks like here both cars are working very good. So yeah, hopefully for them they can capitalize on this good form. You know, it's usually a trend when you see the cars in front, and even free practice. Even the track conditions are improving a lot, so it's always good to see that you have the natural speed from the beginning on.
Looking on board here with the most recent race winner in Formula E, Sebastian Buemi. Very impressive from him last time out in Monaco to take that victory and get his first win in 78 races in Formula E. First win in 5 years, but also Envision's first win since London 2023 as well. It was very impressive, as I say, but that just goes to show how much experience came to the fore in challenging conditions.
Yeah, he was really brilliant in the wet. It was great to watch. He and the team delivered a fantastic performance. From the second the rain arrived, they were on top, and Sebastian delivered such a great race. It was a pleasure to see. I do think that he could deliver another one if it rains, because he seems at one with his car.
I feel like in the bumpy areas, the front comes off, and then when it lands, it grabs and then snaps on the rear. It's like the front doesn't stay on the ground as I hit the bump. I don't know if you have anything. Yeah, it's like the front wheels come off, and then when it lands, it snaps on the rear.
So Roland not entirely happy with the balance of his car. Let's hope that they can sort that out. So what changes do you think they'll be making? You know, he's saying he's got snaps of oversteer on the rear at that point in the lap.
So this can be a software-related issue where you've got the brake-by-wire, which we touched on earlier. The torque balance between the front and rear axle is managed by a virtual computer, if you like. So you set a preset number. So let's say 60% of the braking on the front axle, 40% on the rear. Now, obviously, when you go over a bump, the overall percentage that you can put into the track is reduced from the front axle. So then it shifts the torque balance to the rear, but maybe the reaction and the reactivity of that is not in harmony with what Oliver wants. So what he's asking the team to do is to have a bit of a deeper look inside the software to see if they can make sure that the torque balance between the front and rear axle can be more in harmony through the bumpy parts of the circuit.
Well, there we are. Brilliant technical insight from James Rossiter as we look here at Stoffel Van Dorn. Double points finish for him at the team's home race in Monaco a fortnight ago. MSG, the operations side of that team, standing for Monaco Sports Group. You'll never guess what their home race was. Of course it was in Monaco, and he managed to, as I say, get a double points finish. Whereas on the other side of the garage, Jake Hughes was pointless all weekend, struggled with the balance of the car, under braking, and just when I spoke to him on the grid a couple of times over the weekend, seemed like a man that was really lost at sea, didn't know which way to turn and how to improve on what was a challenging weekend.
Yeah, it just seemed like he didn't have the flow, didn't find the rhythm, neither himself or the car. And if you don't have the confidence, the level of driving in Formula E is so high that the second you're missing confidence in the car, confidence in your braking, how to turn into the corner, you only need to miss a couple of tenths and suddenly you're at the back and you're really struggling to fight for the points. So yeah, difficult weekend for him. Let's see if he can bounce back here.
Just had some further team radio saying that they're not going to be changing the setup at Roland's car. They're going to pore over the data and have a look over it tonight, see whether they'll change anything for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's going to be a software issue. Something that I've definitely seen in the past, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's look at John-Eric Verne here, just negotiating his way through the walls of Tokyo. He's in a full attack mode lap at the moment. You can see with the purple lights on the car. Look at the movement under braking there into turn 15. I tell you what, we're in for an absolute treat here this weekend when we get into attack mode.
You can hear the car bottoming out as he approaches turn 16. Well, he's managed that very well. That looks nice and smooth there, going into 17 and then coming out onto the start-finish straight. Let's see where he ends up. But it looks quite a good lap from Jean-Eric Vergne, I have to say.
Yeah, slight bit of rear instability going into the penultimate corner there, but he comes across the line, goes fourth quickest as Da Costa just improves to go quickest of the lot into the 113 flat. So that's really impressive there from Da Costa. It means it's a Tag Heuer Porsche 1-2 with just under 6 minutes left of this session. Let's have a look at Roland's car over the bump that we saw him talking about on team radio. He's out of turn 2 into turn 3. And this is Stoffel van Dorn, just to give you a comparison of it. The car's still having a fair amount of movement there for him as well.
I think last year we saw the cars jumping and now they're sort of just going very light over that bump, but they're definitely moving around a huge amount.
Ticktum's just gone into the 112s. Fantastic lap time there for the Briton as he goes to the top of the class then, a 1:12.987. So the lap time's now coming in thick and fast. Do you think we're going to see some qualifying simulations at the end of this session? And how important do you think they'll be given what we're expecting tomorrow to be, you know, wet qualifying and very likely a wet race?
100%. This is the only chance they've got to do a 350 kilowatt four-wheel drive attack lap. This is the moment. These next 5 minutes, we're going to see them throw everything at it because they know they might not get another chance until they're in the duel phase of one of the races this weekend.
The track looking quite congested as well there, with Jake Hughes just having to get out the way of Nick Cassidy, who sits down in 20th at the moment, just in front of Sam Bird and, of course, Taylor Barnard, who we saw ending the session in the wall, bringing out the red flag earlier on. Cassidy with a personal best there in the first sector, but still 0.2 of a second away as he's right up against the wall through turn 9.
Yeah, super sketchy through there. You can see you arrive so fast in turn 9, and when you get on the throttle with the four-wheel drive, the car actually gets pulled a little bit by the front axle towards the wall on the outside. You can see Nick flirting with danger there.
Yeah, he's certainly trying to get the maximum out of the car, but you can see that there is a lot of traffic. It is quite busy out there on the circuit at the moment. Just 2 drivers in pit lane out of the 21 that are in this session. Through turn 16, the car looking nice and compliant through there. The problem is, if you get a snap of oversteer through that corner, it sends you offline into the right of turn 17 as well.
Not only that, I think also having a snap through that corner and a big drift, you really end up overheating your tyres, and that will then compromise you through that tight and twisted chicane of 17 and 18.
Gregory Default, the race engineer for Nick Cassidy, will just be relaying some information to him at the end of that lap. Nissan now go 1 and 2 with Nato leading championship leader Oliver Rowland. Here is Nato in the number 17, pole man from Miami a month ago. And let's see what Nato is going to be able to do here this weekend. He's not had a bad season by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to his teammate, he is languishing a bit in the standings. 19th currently is Norman Nato. He's had, again, a couple of points finishes, but, well, one points finish, in fact, which was in Miami. But other than that, he needs to put in a strong performance at the team's home race. Dennis just coming out of the final corner now. Let's see what the Briton is going to be able to do. Goes to 6th in the standings. Sean McGill, his race engineer, will just be chatting away with him. An incident between De Grassi and Da Costa that's been noted on our timing screen as well. So I wonder if that's a bit of impeding that's gone on through the course of the lap. There's a lot of blind corners here in Tokyo. And we have seen quite a few drivers getting caught out with traffic at the wrong time over the course of the laps. Not such a problem for Pascal Wehrlein, at least in this first sector. It's so tight and nadgery, this first part of the lap. There's actually 8 corners just in the first sector alone before you begin to see the track open up. Coming out of turn 8 now, through that fast right-hander of turn 9, this is where we saw Nick Cassidy flirting with the wall on the outside. Wehrlein a little bit more conservative through there as he comes down in towards the chicane of turns 10 and 11. What's it like under braking into there? Looks okay.
You really have to get that braking point right there in the attack mode. It's so fast and no room at all for error as he flicks the car through the chicane. Very impressive.
Yeah, you can just see the movement under braking. It doesn't necessarily cause the car to oversteer here when you're in the full attack mode because you've got four-wheel drive, but certainly under braking, where they're arriving at so much more speed and on the limit of grip for the tyres, the cars do have a little bit more movement than perhaps you would begin to expect. Out of the final corner now for Pascal Wehrlein. What can he do as he comes to the timing line? He goes fastest of the lot by 1/10 of a second over Norman Nato. So now we're finally seeing the Porsches being able to respond to the Nissans. Nissan have taken victory in the last 4 races in Formula E in terms of their powertrains. So very, very impressive performances.
No, it's nice to see. It really looks like it's a driver's circuit here in Tokyo. And you can see how much the guys can find when they do have the confidence and they feel at one with the car to thread the eye of the needle.
If I may correct myself, the last 4 pole positions they've taken, actually, as a matter of fact, Nissan powertrain. So, Tagoya Porsche and indeed Andretti Porsche and also Cooper Kiro with a Porsche powertrain in the back of their car will be hoping to try and topple that. So under a minute now to go at the end of this free practice 1 session. Here is David Beckman in the second of the Cooper Kiros. He's currently 19th quickest at the moment. The only real standout performance that we've seen from the German so far this year was in Miami when he was able to get that car into the duels for the first time. At the moment, he is one of 2 drivers who is currently yet to score points in Formula E, the other being Zane Maloney.
Yeah, he seems like he's really struggling and just can't find the rhythm with the car. And I'd say the tighter, twistier circuits he seems to suffer more than the circuit at Miami, where we were very wide and open. So yeah, tough one for David Beckman.
Yeah, already lost just 0.3 of a second in that first sector alone here for David Beckman. As the circuit opens up, let's see whether he's able to pull back a bit of time. Edo Mortara, currently 10th quickest at the moment. De Vries is in the pit lane then, as the checkered flag is out, and he's 21st. And that is the best he'll go, of course, as the session now comes to a conclusion. So I wonder whether there was an issue for De Vries at the end of that session that cost him a bit of run time. I hope we get a bit of a debrief on that and find out what happened. Big snap of oversteer at the final corner. Meanwhile, for Beckman, as he comes over the line, only goes 15th quickest. He was right up against the wall as he flirted with the edge of danger. Bird comes over the line. Ready to come over the line very shortly, as a matter of fact. Riding on board with him as he exits out of that final chicane. And Sam Bird only goes 17th fastest for Neon McLaren. Gunter, that was a really strong lap time for him, and it propels him to the top of the pile for DS Penske. So Stellantis looking pretty good in the first free practice session of the weekend. Roland comes over the line and ends up second quickest, but then Norman Nato upsets the party. And that special livery doing wonders, clearly, for the Frenchman as he goes to the top with a 1:12.1. That is incredibly impressive. 8 seconds faster than this time a year ago, as the rest of the drivers take the checkered flag. And Tommaso Volpe, well, a wry smile, and I'm not surprised at all for him, because his boys first and third at the end of the first session of the weekend here, James.
Yes.
What a wonderful opening session. Slightly longer than we were anticipating, but it's Norman Nato top, from Gunther in second, Roland third, Verline fourth, Van Dorn fifth, Ticktum sixth, Degrassi seventh, DaCosta is eighth, Hughes ninth, and Dennis rounds out your top 10 from Mortara, Muller, Verne, Maloney, Beckman, Frines, Evans, Bird, Boemi, Cassidy, De Vries, and Barnard hitting the wall. Rain is anticipated, though, tomorrow, so that could become a huge factor coming in. So make sure to join us here on JB Motorsports and Formula E Zone for all of the action as we will go racing in Tokyo. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.